Welcome to Dragonheart. It's a big one this week. I mean, I am joined by Mark Griffiths, Bill Long, and myself, Chay Long. So, three of us this week.
A Griffiths between two longs. I don't know what that means. It sounds
sandwich.
Ooh.
Well, we're going to be breaking down the Altrincham away game. Unfortunately, we didn't have the Boxing Day game to cover as that was called off. But yeah, we have that to talk about. We all watched it, and we also have the Dragonheart Awards, which should be very interesting. We've had a lot of interaction off Twitter, so yeah, should be a lot of fun. This is Dragonheart.
I'm Aaron Hayden, and this is Dragonheart.
Well, Altrincham, it was quite a satisfying win, wasn't it, Mark?
Very professional. I thought, well, the first half hour we battered them, and if it wasn't for Tony Thompson in goal for them, we could have scored absolutely hatful. It was fantastic to watch. And in the second half, I thought it was good game management. I mean, if you look at it, okay, Altrincham came into the game more. So what? We were never in danger. I mean, Leighton's only made one save in the whole match, and that was early on. All Altrincham's best decisions came through at best 50-50 and at worst bizarre decisions from the ref, like the close range header when Lennon's been wrestled. So we were just totally in control. I thought the only downside coming out of it was Jordan Davis's injury, but I thought it was a spectacular at first and then thoroughly professional in the second.
What's your thoughts, Bill?
I think it was an interesting game just because we've seen a lot of games like that this season where we've absolutely dominated the first half and then maybe sat back is the wrong word, but taken a bit more of a cautious approach in the second half. And I think it's quite, it's showing that the team is starting to gel a little bit, that we can put two past the team and then not have to worry so much in that second half. I mean, Torquay at home was a good example of where we absolutely dominated that first half, got the one goal, and you go into that second half, you're giving them a little bit of a chance because you do need to have those sort of breaks in the game where you're not as intense as other parts of the game, and they go and get that equaliser. So hopefully a lot of the criticism of Parkinson has been that we've sat back in that second half, but actually that was a perfect example of when that kind of style of play works.
I've got it. Yeah, you're dead right. And I've got to say as well, I mean, a lot of people talk about Parkinson being defensive, but I think I may have said this a couple of weeks ago. I don't think he is particularly. I think it's more that sometimes we lose control of games, and that's much more worrying, actually, to be frank. But this wasn't an example of that, I don't think. If Tozer's shot had gone in, we'd have been 3 up with quite a bit of time to stick more past them. And as the game wore on, and teams have the right to improve during a match, and Altrincham did that. Their 3 substitutions all made an impact. So fair enough.
Yeah, I think Altrincham as well. I think everyone looks as that as a piece of paper. They've lost 5 in the last league games, but really, I think they're a side that's a lot better than that. I think they're actually a decent side. I just think they're in a bad run of form, and I think they had a point to prove against us. And sometimes teams with their backs against the wall, they're very hard to play against. So I think to get a very comfortable 2-0 win is a great way to get us to keep this run going when we're playing Notts County, a very, very tough game against Notts County next week.
Best away record against best home record, with 4 figures of Wrexham fans going across country to see it. It's a mouth-watering one now, isn't it? Blinking heck. But the Altrincham, like you say, they're a much better team than teams like Aldershot and Kings Lynn that we've battered this season. Much better. And I thought they were good throughout the game going forwards, but we still kept them an arm's length, which pleased me. And defensively, though, they got players out and they were a mess defensively, I think, to be frank.
Yeah, one of their centre halves he just looked, I forgot his name now.
Diggy.
He looked very nervous every time he had the ball. It was just first half, it was a lot of pass the ball to Ben Tozer, and he was playing balls over the top, and he just looked very nervous and didn't look like he knew what to do with it when Ponticelli and Mullin were pressing him.
Yeah, I think it was, to be fair to Altrincham, especially in the second half, they looked really organised going forward, didn't they? Like that Kolkov looked like a decent player. Kolkov and I'm trying to say the Celtic player's name.
Costello,
that's the one. They seem to change nicely between each other, and like you say, Mark, they're quite clearly a much better side than some of the other teams that we face this year. But regardless, even if they're better, we've still got to be putting these teams to the sword, and we did that, to be fair. It was a very, very professional performance.
Yeah, by the time the second goal's in, we're in the comfort zone, and we're not for Thompson, who made 3 saves, 2 in the first half, that were really top draw. We would have been in the comfort zone way before then as well, wouldn't we? So, yeah, I was really, really happy with it, to be honest. And, looking across the team, the performances across the team were sound, weren't they? That you didn't look at anyone and think, oh, they weren't quite right. We were just in control of the match. It was very, very pleasing.
Yeah, we were in control of the match. And let's talk that first goal as well now. It was a very satisfying goal to watch. It was a lovely ball into Jordan Davis, into Ben Tozer. And it was just a lovely header in the perfect position for Aaron Hayden. Lovely diving header finish. And surely I've never seen a centre-half get so many assists in one season.
So, yeah, that's a point. 7, is it? Let me double check.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tozer's dangerous, isn't he? With head, hand, and foot.
Yeah, he's a very good footballer, Ben Tozer. His balls in, not just throw-ins, his cross-ins, excellent. I suppose it has to be to make the throw-in worth it at times, because he can play the short one and he can just play a normal cross. But yeah, Ben Tozer is one hell of a footballer for this level.
Yeah, 7 assists he's got.
Yeah.
And he could have had a goal as well. Surprising he hasn't scored yet, but because he's dangerous from set pieces. All 3 of them are. You were saying as well about Aaron Hayden after the game, weren't you? That, where does he measure in terms of like goal scoring defenders in Wrexham's history? And we had a quick messaging exchange. Eddie Mays got 41, and he's a centre back. I thought he might have played some of those games as a centre forward, but I double checked. It doesn't appear to be the case. So, yeah, that's way off the leader. There's lots of players there who played as defenders and as midfielders as well, or even players like Dean Spink, who played as a defender and a striker. So we can't count them. But, I mean, May scored a goal about every 10 games. And the only Wrexham defender who's only a defender who could even challenge that is Andy Holt. He's a little bit better in terms of strike rate. But having said that, I mean, Andy Holt was a wing back. Eddie May was a centre back. He's more of a defender, isn't he, than Holt, who used to power up and down the line. But Hayden, what was it, 4 goals in 30 odd games? That's better than 1 in 10. So beg your pardon, doing him a disservice there. 4 goals in 23 games. So he's scoring 1 in 6. So if he keeps going like that, it'll be challenging, won't he? Give him another, sort of 6 years at the back for Wrexham. He'll be challenging Eddie May.
There's some seasons in the conference where he would have actually been on track to be our top goal scorer this season with that amount of goals at this stage of the season.
well, yeah. Was it two seasons ago? Our top scorer had 5 goals. So, exactly.
That's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's really important for a successful side to have centre backs chipping in with goals too, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Dennis Smith used to say this, didn't he? Whenever he'd get asked after matches, "Are you glad that your centre back scored?" And he'd be, "Well, I expect them to chip in." I always tell my centre backs, I expect 5 a season from them, and certainly that helps, doesn't it? But Lennon's getting on the end of a lot of stuff, isn't he? And he scored. Yeah. He's scored a couple.
Yeah, and Ben Tozer's getting loads of assists, so a lot of goals are coming from our centre halves, which is really, really good to see.
Hasn't Brisley scored as well? And I know Cleworth played as a defensive midfielder in the FA Trophy, but he scored, so that everyone who can play at centre back is showing that they can actually contribute, which is great.
Exactly. I like the way that Lennon gets on the end of things. I know that sounds stupid, but being a threat is not just about being big, is it? It's about actually anticipating situations, getting on the end of them. Lennon seems quite good at that. Ghosty, he misses a few, so does Hayden, but then they're not professionals to score goals, but it's just very useful when you've got them all chipping in like that.
Well, if we're going to talk about aerial threats, it's not just from big, tall centre halves. We've got, look at what Ponticelli did for the second goal. That has got to be assist of the season so far. I've never seen a header. It was a not a great cross by Reece Johnson, but he sort of like put himself in like a prone body position to flick this header on. It's somehow landed at the bar. It's landed at Bryce Ozan, who has some killer instinct. He's there at the right place, right time. For me, that's another wonderful goal today. Well, that day.
It's not so much about the. In some ways, I totally agree. It's a fabulous goal, and it's not so much about the quality of the goal; it's the qualities of those players, isn't it? Ponticelli's ability to somehow make something out of nothing, because he's got. Just think, like you say, of his body position. Think of where that ball came, and it was a bit floaty, so it wasn't like pinged in, so you could just direct it somewhere. How the hell has he got the leverage to put that header into a place where it's dangerous? That's absolutely fabulous, isn't it? And then Hosanna, like you say, just that opportunism, that he's alert and awake, and a lot of players would see a cross like that coming in from the other side and see that the centre forward's not quite going to reach it, and will probably switch off a bit and think, "Oh, that's nothing's happening here," or it might bounce through to me. But he's anticipated the header, he's anticipated the rebound, and he's kept very cool to place that header over the keeper before he can get up as well. It was wonderful, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah, really was. There's a lot to say about the strikers in that game. I think Ponticelli and Paul Mullen's work rate was excellent. It's just a shame they couldn't cap it off with a goal, I think.
Yeah, they're really battered.
And Ponticelli's really shown his worth at the moment. I think he was a bit unlucky last season with injuries, and maybe Keats' style of play didn't 100% lend itself to the way Ponticelli plays. And I think we'd have all been coming into this season, other than Hyde and Mullen being first choices, have probably said that Angus might have been the second choice striker to come in. But I think Jordan's really showing that work rate is valued by Parkinson, and the link-up play that he provides is really essential to the way we play, really.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, how a player's career at a club might be affected by other circumstances? Because surely, I'm thinking, when Keats bought Ponticelli permanently, he was thinking of him as our fox in the box, he'll feed off Kwame Thomas sort of striker. In his first spell with us on loan, he looked very sharp, didn't he, running on to knock-ons and getting into goal-scoring positions. And I'd have thought that's what he was planning for him. But then Ponticelli didn't really get fit last season until near the end, and was having to fit in with the system that we developed, with Thomas turning out to be much better at attacking the 6-yard box than I think we ever expected. And it makes me think of Scott Bowden in a way. That when Bowden was brought in, he and Holroyd were lined up to be the front two, and Holroyd pulls a hamstring after about 20 minutes of the first game of the season. So instead of having Bowden up in the box where he can get on the end of things, Bowden starts becoming the second striker. We're bringing in Alex Reid to play ahead of him. We get Tumbarus Masanka ahead of him. And although he's suited to that because of his awareness, the goals dry up for him, don't they? And he's seen maybe as not being a success at Wrexham, whereas to be fair to him, I think he did quite a lot of good creative work and intelligent work up front, but he wasn't that frontline striker that maybe we've intended him to be at first. But Holroyd's injury altered everything.
Do you think Ponticelli could be used sitting just behind the strikers?
I'm thinking, yeah. The only thing is he's more in attacking midfield than the 10, isn't he? Davis behind the striker is a different type of player to Ponticelli, isn't he? Because he'll make passes.
Another big talking point about this game, which is very unfortunate, is the Jordan Davis injury, isn't it? I don't know the extent of it just yet, but it did not look good, did it? Well, yeah, that's not good, is it?
But at least it's not broken collarbone.
Yeah,
that's no question. A long time out. I know that Parkinson said it was a serious one, and he may hope not. He may be telling the truth, but he may also be playing a cute little game to catch Notts County by surprise. Because if it's not a really bad dislocation, people can pop them back in, can't they, and be okay. So let's hope so.
Yeah, it depends if there's really any sort of muscle or ligament damage around it, rather than it just being a simple pop in, pop out, doesn't it? Really.
Yeah.
shoulder injuries are a funny one because he might be all right for a couple of weeks and then some contact could happen and it goes again. Hopefully not. You're not hoping for that kind of thing to happen. But I think now it kind of puts us in a difficult position transfer wise because we've got to look at someone else to maybe fill that position, whether it's someone from within the squad or we've got to go and then get another player to cover Jordan. Which, I mean, we talked quite extensively about who we were going to look for during the January transfer window on the halftime show. A little plug for my debut.
Yeah. But available in podcast now.
we talked about maybe, like one left wing back, one centre midfielder and one striker, and maybe another luxury player if that's the kind of thing that we could go for. If we were getting 4, it would now have to be 2 centre midfielders, wouldn't it? I think. Definitely.
Yeah, I think so. Unless, hopefully, we're playing it cute over Jordan. But I think as well, I think if this transfer window goes according to plan, and did you see that tweet from Rob McElhenney, which I was pondering, thinking of as my moment of the year, to be honest with you, because it got me very excited, saying about how January is going to be fun. When I saw that, I'm thinking, maybe the idea is that we will create awkward situations for Parkinson because we will be buying players in of a high quality and he'll have to murder his darlings. He'll have to maybe leave a player out who's been doing well simply because that's how you improve a team.
Yeah. It's going to be really exciting, isn't it? I am really looking forward to this month if it all goes to plan.
Yeah.
So what other talking points do you think there is, Mark, from this game?
None. No, sorry. I thought, again, the wing-backs did well. The way they're getting forwards and getting the crosses in. They were a menace, weren't they? And once again, you just see that Bryce Hosanna, and this fascinates me. We were talking, like I said, in the halftime show about do we want an experienced left wing-back alongside him? Which is a reasonable question, promotion running for a lad who's not got much professional experience behind him. But having said that, do you trade off against the fact that teams are terrified? It's really hard to defend against him because he's quick and he runs up and he can go either way.
Yeah, I agree, and I think another talking point as well from this game, which not many people have talked about, I think, is Kwame Thomas coming on for his first league game in a long time and showing the qualities that he can bring to this team with his hold-up play. I don't think we have a striker who's as good as him in the air or can hold the ball up as well as him.
Yeah, 100%. I was chatting to my lad afterwards and he said, he loved when Thomas came on. He comes on for 9 minutes and wins 30 free kicks. He was just brilliant, wasn't he? I love that one on the halfway line where he got there. He's facing his own goal. An Altrincham player's running at him from the Wrexham half. And he just quickly jumped 180 degrees around the ball to make the Altrincham bloke run into him. And it was just world-class free kick buying. It was magnificent.
You need that kind of experience cynicism, don't you, in a team that want to go up? You've just got to have it. That gamesmanship, you can't. It's a kind of quality that you can't really buy.
And it's exciting, isn't it? Because Kwame seems to have hit the ground. So I would have to say quicker than I expected him to. The Gloucester game and that game. I'm not saying he's 100% at all, but he looks a lot closer to the Kwame we know than I expected him to after 80 minutes of football. He looks good, and that's exciting. I'm going to say it, the old cliche. He's like a new signing.
but he is, because we haven't had a striker like that. Jake Hyde. Yes, he is sort of a target man, isn't he? But he's not a Kwame Thomas target man, is he?
Kwame can really bully centre-backs, can't he? You don't expect a centre-forward to be winning the percentage of hedges that he often does win in a game against centre-backs. And Hyde is more of a fixed point, which is no bad thing. I'm not trying to knock Hyde at all. It's not quite gone right for him yet, but the movement of Mullen around him in pre-season, that looked like a really promising partnership. But Hyde keeps getting injured often because he's putting his body on the line, as Thomas does. But yeah, Thomas has got that movement as well. He can drive down channels. He gets in the 6-yard box. And it'll be great if he can get up and running fully and start working a Mullen. And of course, any other strikers we might buy, Mbappe or whoever. Yeah, it'll be fun.
Well, Anthony Martial's not happy, is he, at the moment? So
there you go.
Maybe a cheeky bid for him. Anyway, that game was a very satisfying game. I think both halves, in a nutshell now, we were great first half, and it was nice to see us not concede in the second half and, show the nitty gritty side to us, which I've really enjoyed. And I'd like to see us do that at home more often. But that leads us into good form, going to a really, really hard game in the 2nd of January with a lot of Wrexham fans going to it. Any quick thoughts on the Notts County game, Mark?
Well, they're supposed to be struggling with COVID, aren't they? But to get the game played. So if that's the case, then we have an opportunity to go at them. Like we said before, best away record in the league against the best home record in the league. So it's something's got to give.
Do you not think that could be a bit of gamesmanship by Notts County there?
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I seem to think. That's what I seem to think they're doing, because it surely would be called off by now if it was going to be called off, wouldn't it?
I haven't seen this for myself, where I was told the National League changed their rules. Is it this week, so that if you've got 14 players, the game's got to go ahead? If that's the case, then it makes it harder to call games off, which obviously would be the reason to bring that in, and would favour teams with squad depth like us.
I've not seen that the National League do have that announcement. That's no surprise, because the National League aren't really the greatest at announcing things, are they? And it's a bit cowboy country.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if Burchnell, the manager, who is, can be a cynical customer, is playing games. But by the same token, I wouldn't be surprised. I hope I'm right if we are playing a little bit of a game with Jordan by just emphasising how bad that injury is. I hope we are, because as you say, Bill, if he's got muscular injury around a dislocated shoulder, it could still be weeks and weeks.
Oh, let's hope that's not the case. But yeah, so a really fascinating game coming up, and a lot of Wrexham fans who are, including myself, trying to get tickets. It's going to be a cracking atmosphere with two really big clubs, isn't it, Bill?
Yeah, and this is a game really that should be played in the Football League, isn't it? Two huge clubs at this level, huge fan bases. I mean, with the fact that we're going to be taking thousands there, just goes to show that, especially this time of year, people's financial situations, COVID, yet we're still managing to take well over one. How many extra were sold today? I know we sold out very quickly, but it was 1,200 initially, wasn't it? And then there was some more that went on sale, and they went with, I tried to get some and they were gone within seconds, I think, by all accounts. So, it's going to be exciting.
And I think a game, if we do win, is really going to kick us on for the rest of the season.
Oh, no question. We've got momentum already, haven't we? Our current form's very good. If we can go to a promotion rival and win, we'd be laughing. And also, we'd have 6 away wins in a row, which is one off the club record.
Well, it really kickstarts the promotion charge, that, doesn't it?
I'll say, yeah.
It really does. And it's going to be a very interesting January. And I am really excited to be a part of Wrexham AFC at the moment. After this, we're going to be doing our own little award show.
From the heart of your community, this is Calon FM.
Well, here is the Dragonheart Awards of this year. Thanks to the Wrexham AFC official Twitter for plugging it. It was really nice. And we've had a lot of responses from Twitter, haven't we, Mark?
100%, yeah.
Yeah, it's really hit off. It's been really, really nice. We've got a lot of categories to go through. So the first category we are going to go for is Player of the Year. So we're going to get the responses from Twitter from Mark.
Yeah, well, give you a bit of a sample. I mean, Alan Davis, firstly, for Player of the Year, Jordan Davis. He says 16 calendar year goals from late March. Well, yeah, he put that's quite an achievement. It's actually 17, so even better. So, yeah, he's going for Jordan. Another shout for Jordan for the way he finished last season and the way he started this one. John Davis, on balance, interesting this. Most probably Hall Johnson or Lainton, who he actually auto-corrected to Latino. I quite like that idea. Makes him seem a bit exotic, doesn't it? And Rob 1927 says the best game is, hang on, not sure about the Player for the Year, but the foundations have been laid to kick on next month. He thinks Parky and the backroom staff deserve a pat on the back for that. The poll that we ran for Player of the Season is interesting. 76.92% said Jordan Davis. 15% says Rob Lainton. 7% said Paul Mullen. The reason I said it was interesting, Hall Johnson or Lainton, is that, I guess the first problem you have when you look at Player of the Year rather than Player of the Season is, are you going to look at Mullen, who's put in half a season and done really well, or do you have to look at someone who's put in the whole 12 months?
Yeah, this is what I was thinking, because I think Mullen's that good that you could say, yes, he's made that significant of an impact. You could say he is Player of the Year. I personally haven't gone for him, but I can see why a lot of fans have.
Yeah.
I think, I think, I was actually quite surprised that Paul Mullen's not a bit higher in a way, just because he's so popular with the fans. I mean, who was the last striker to come in and transform the atmosphere around the club? Probably Andy Mangan, would you say? Maybe came in and he was really another Scouser who came in and really transformed how people saw that current team. And then obviously you're going back to Ugarte before that, probably. We do love a Scouse striker at the racecourse, don't we?
Lee Trundle.
Yeah.
The real impact when he first came in.
Louis Moult was loved as well, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah. It helps.
Yeah, I mean, what
kicking your first starts from the edge of the area as well, to be fair.
So, some interesting choices there. I think Rob Lainton doesn't get talked about enough, does he?
No. In fact, he does also get a call for Unsung Hero.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, maybe feel he's taken for granted a bit. But yeah, he's such a reliable keeper, but he's such a good reflex keeper as well, isn't he? He makes some terrific saves. That game that we lost at home to Yeovil, I mean, he made 2 outrageous saves. Unluckily, one of them they scored from the rebound, and the other one still went in because he should have had no chance to even get a hand on it, and he nearly pushed it over the bar, even though it was only about a yard off the floor. It was an astounding attempt to make a save. But no, I got a lot of time for Linton. A lot of time for him.
He's a goalkeeper that's safe hands, isn't he? He's just a safe pair of hands in the middle of the goal, and I think he should be playing at a higher level. Personally, he's brilliant. I like how angry and emotional he gets at times as well. So yeah, Rob Lainton and Reece Johnson too. Even though I know he's been out a lot this season through injury, so that's why I didn't pick Reece Johnson. But he was definitely in my thoughts. So yeah, that's a real interesting one. So first, we're gonna go with Bill's Player of the Year, as he is the newbie to Dragonheart.
So I've gone for Rob Lainton. I really deliberated over this, and we had a little bit of a chat over Messenger beforehand. I think Jordan Davis is the standout, but no disrespect to Davis, you could take him out of that side, and there are players who could fit in and maybe do a job in his role. Whereas I'm going to come on to Dibble a little bit later on over something else, but Rob Lainton is so important to this team. There are games this season where we would have dropped points if he hadn't have been playing, and it's as simple as that. Saves, I think, against Dagenham and Redbridge kept us in the game, and that was 3 points against a potential promotion rival that, at that point in the season, you lose those, you draw that game or you lose the game if he doesn't save all those chances, and it's 3 points less. And we're a point away from the top of the table at the moment. That gives you that platform. and we certainly missed him last year when he wasn't there. So it was a tough choice between him and Jordan, and honorable mention to Reece Johnson. But for me, it has to be Leighton. He's absolutely magnificent player.
Yeah, I 100% echo everything you say, Bill. And I think the more impressive thing of Rob Leighton is he's played with a lot of back threes in these last 2 seasons too, and for him to still play as consistent for this year just really shows his quality, doesn't it, Mark?
Yeah, absolutely. He's played behind back threes, back fours. If he'd been here under Gary Mills, he'd have played behind the back non for a bit. I rate Leighton extremely highly. He's not my choice, though. I have gone obvious. 17 goals in a calendar year. He's played more games than anybody else as well. It's got to be Jordan Davis for me. 50 games out of 53 for us this season. I should mention, though, before I go on to him, nobody's talked about Luke Young.
Yeah.
Young's second most appearances of the year, 48, and those two are well ahead of the third person, who I'll ask you to name in a second, and I'm surprised by it. But Leighton, I mean, Davis, he works hard. He ticks the battling for his home team, town team box, but the quality as well. You know, he's versatile, but it's when you put him in those attacking positions that he really shines. And the free kicks he scores, long range goals where he's attacking the box, his assists, his set pieces. I mean, he's a superb all-round player, and for me, absolutely has to be the player of the year. But Young is unfortunate not to get mentioned. You know, I mean, he was top scorer last year, remember, and has been extremely consistent. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So who's made the first amount of appearances after Davis, 50, and then Young, 48? Who's made the third highest amount of appearances this season? If you guess right, I'll give you £1,000.
This season or year, do you mean?
I just realised that I've sent you a PDF with this, so this might be an expensive question. This year, 2021.
Ooh. I don't know if you noticed, Mark, but maybe the colour of my glasses changed on this as I was opening the PDF just to have a cheeky look.
No.
So I'll leave it for Chay to guess.
Right. I have third. Right. Okay. Ooh, I really can't think.
Oh,
there's been a lot of there's been a lot of injuries, isn't there? And we've had a lot of changes in squads from last season to this season.
You got 5 seconds.
I'll go for a crazy one. Tyler French.
Oh, thank God you said crazy one. I thought you had it. Tell him, Bill.
It's unless I can't read properly, it is Reece Johnson.
Oh, you can't read properly.
Wow.
No, it's not.
Oh no, I'm just looking at league appearances, aren't I? Well,
£1,000 is safe. New
glasses.
Dior Angus, 39.
Right.
Well,
that has surprised me.
Angus, 39. Ponticelli, 37.
Oh, of course. I can't add up. I'm not looking at the substitute appearances as well. Yeah.
Johnson and Record, 34 each. French, 33. Leighton, 32. Kelleher, 27. Dan Jarvis, 25.
Oh, wow.
And then we get into some more players who became this season. Tozer, 24. Hayden, 23. Dibble, 23. I've got to say, I should point out to you, Bill, as you are an IT teacher, that there is a column there that says overall appearances. So well done for trying to add everything together. The Greenman, column R.
Column R.
Honestly,
well,
shocking.
There we go.
It's a shocker.
There goes my job in the IT department.
There you go. How about you, Jay? What's your choice?
I've gone for Jordan Davis as well. I think he's just been excellent, and some absolute astounding individual performances. Yeovil last season, the home game, he was excellent. Halifax away last season, he was unbelievable. And in recent memory, Gloucester at home, he just completely ran the show and was a cut above everybody else and scored what is second, the best goal of the year. His second goal against Gloucester was unbelievable technique. Yeah, I've gone for Jordan Davis. I've gone for everyone else. So I think he probably is the unanimous winner, isn't he?
I think so.
Well, not so unanimous.
Well, not unanimous. He is the winner really, because everyone's voted for him.
I think it is the choice, and I think there's something to be said as well about, especially promotion-winning teams having a hometown player that the fans can get behind. You look at Leeds with Phillips the other year, and Grealish at Villa when they went up. There is something about a team having homegrown talent trying to win promotion. I just think just having that one or two players that know the area and know the fan base is really helpful, and and it helps when your quality like Jordan is.
It surprised me. I had a look after he scored a hat-trick at Halifax, and he was only something like the 11th Wrexham-born player to score a hat-trick for Wrexham.
Wow.
So I mean, going all the way back, I know that the records get a bit scratchy in the pre-football league era, but still, that's quite striking. He also should have mentioned equal most assists in the season. He and Luke Young got 10 assists. So 17 goals, 10 assists in 50 appearances, not bad, and 14 yellow cards, which is going some.
Yeah, well, he's an excellent player, and he's really, with a new squad around him, he's really carried that on this season. It's such a shame that he has a bit of an injury in a really important part of the season, but I'm sure he'll be back as good as ever soon. So yeah, hats off to Jordan Davis, hats off to Rob Langton for getting our votes. The next one is goal of the year. So I'll bring you back to Mark again, who's going to get the Twitter reaction.
Yeah, this is a tricky one, isn't it? Because we've got so many fantastic goals this season. Ali Davis suggests Dave Jones away to Solihull. He had the perfect view. What a hit. Absolutely.
Yeah,
what a strike that was.
Yeah.
We've also had, for quality, Jordan Davis's hat-trick sealing our volley against Halifax, which is the one that won goal of the season last season. And then for the occasion, Paul Mullen scoring at the same ground a few months later. That was, Mullen's late winner. John O'Devitt said Max Cleworth, because it ticks a lot of the boxes for him. It was an absolutely fantastic strike, wasn't it, that? We had the top of the poll, 41%, was Jordan Ponticelli's at Aldershot. Second was Jordan Davis's outside of the foot goal against Gloucester.
Yeah.
Third was the goal of the season from last season with 8%. Equally, David Jones at Solihull, Luke Young's free kick at Boreham Wood, and also Cleworth's goal at Gloucester. So wow, there's some corkers there, and plenty of great goals that we haven't even mentioned.
Oh yeah, there's some fantastic goals last season as well. I think last season's goals probably won't get us talked about as much as fans weren't in the stadium. So I think there's a lot from last season that we can talk about. Again, I'll bring you to Bill for his goal of the year.
I had a real tough time choosing this one because I know we took we've taken a lot of criticism over the last calendar year for being a defensive side, but when you actually look at the goals that we have scored, we've had some absolutely fantastic goals. But the one I had to go for was Ponticelli against Aldershot. I mean, that finish, it was like something out of the Premier League. I know, when you're leading the game so handily, it almost diminishes the goal in a weird way. But that finish was just wow! What an absolute belter of a goal.
Yeah, 100% agree, and it shows the potential and the quality for such a young player. I think everyone forgets how young Jordan Ponticelli is. He has real quality, and that was a sublime finish.
Absolutely right. I also went for that. So there was debate here. I just think that's the goal. Oh gosh, that got me out of my seat, I would say. Despite the fact that we got these wonderful strikes, we had so many crazy goals when Davis and Young were wonderful. But the finish was glorious, but the setup was fantastic. The speed of the breakaway. Oh, there's something about breakaways that make me happy. I don't know why, but for me, a fast team breaking away is my favourite thing to watch in football. And the way that James Jones got it on the right, took on his man, and if you remember, flicked it over his head and sprinted past him and onto it. Jarvis then makes a run down the line, which sort of cuts off Jones's path. So Jones instead looks inside and pings an absolute perfect ball to Ponticelli. His first touch is perfection. And then, all right, you think, oh, strikers one-on-one like that, He's going to take it into the box and engage the keeper. And Ponticelli showed such confidence in sort of leaning across, maybe slightly losing his balance, and just dipping that beautiful curler in the top corner. That's I would marry that goal if it was legal.
Well, that is a fantastic goal, but I've gone for one that no one has mentioned yet. And it's personally my personal favourite from last season. And fortunately, me and Mark, well, fortunately for us, felt so lucky last season that we got to watch the games live. And it's one I've mentioned quite a lot on Dragonheart, if people have listened, is the Dior Angus's first goal against Bromley last season. It was just we were at such a good angle to see the goal. It was a ball beautifully played by Tyler French over the top, over the centre back, and Dior Angus makes this beautiful cut-in run to the far post. It bobbles twice over his head. The ball bounces over Dior Angus' head, and it's beautiful, like quarter volley, may you call it, top left-hand corner from such a tight angle. Is a goal I don't think is talked about enough, really.
I think you're right. I mean, it's just like I was saying, that there's so many goals that we scored last year, and well, this whole calendar year have been great. I'd completely forgotten about that one, and it was a hell of a goal. It looked like it on TV at home. It was superb. Yeah,
it looked like something that had been worked on in the training ground as well. It looked like Tyler French has practiced playing that ball to Dior Angus, and Dior Angus has worked on that run and that finish. So yeah, for me, what a satisfying goal. If I remember, Dior Angus scored 2 contenders for goal of the year that day. So yeah, I know Mark, you preferred the second one, didn't you, at the time?
You just put the words up my mouth. Yeah, the second. It shows how wonderful these goals were. That I actually preferred his second goal to that one. That both wonderful strikes. But yeah, brilliant goal, yours.
Yeah, I love that goal.
Let's go slightly off topic, not to go on too much, but if that's the kind of player that we've got on our bench, it's quite exciting, isn't it? You know, someone who can come on and produce those kind of goals, and he's not getting games. If we have a little bit of a sticky patch for COVID and injuries, you know, we've got someone like Dior to come on, really cause teams a hassle, haven't we?
Oh, between the three of us, we're picking Ponticelli and Angus, who both could be in that position when Thomas is fully fit, and maybe we buy other strikers. So yeah, not bad, is it? Little points.
It's a real strong depth.
Absolutely. Just to back up what you were saying, Bill, you know, people talk about us being defensive. I can't help thinking that people say that and just get stuck in that mindset without looking at the games. So just to give some statistical backup to you, we scored 84 goals this season, which in the league, since 1977, we've only scored more than that once. And that was in the second half of the 90-point season when we scored 90.
Wow.
So that's not bad, is it, really? In the last 44 years, this is our third highest total of goals scored, and yet we are defensive. As Halifax complained when we scored 4 at theirs, and as Woking complained when we scored 4 at theirs, and as Kings Lynn and Aldershot complained when we scored 11 in total past them. Yeah, we're very defensive. That's our problem.
Yeah, well, there you go. I think you've answered everything that I thought of there. Is there any other honourable mentions that either you want to mention for goal of the year?
Anything about Luke Young and Jordan Davis?
Yeah.
The Jordan Davis free kick. I can't even remember the name of the team that we were playing, but that from a couple of weeks ago, that was a fantastic free kick, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Any free kick them to have scored as well, because there's plenty of them to choose from.
The quality of the book, I thought you meant the one against Bromley last season from about 30 yards, which was magnificent.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was a hell of a free kick as well.
There was the Reece Johnson goal, was it against Dover, where he sort of dribbles past 3 or 4 players, hits it on the wrong foot, sort of unbalanced, and it goes bottom corner. That I like that one.
Mullen?
There was the Ponticelli goal against... Yeah, Mullen against Dagenham. There was the Ponticelli goal against Boreham Wood last season, which was a last-minute crazy headed technique. I really don't subscribe to the fact that we're a defensive team. We scored a lot of goals and a lot of amazing goals. So, yeah, it's quite nice looking back and reminiscing on them.
If Keats and Parkinson are so defensive, I'd love to see us with the handbrake off.
Exactly. So yeah, we had some. It was really nice to talk about those goals then. So yeah, next one is moment of the year, which I'm sure there is absolute plenty of.
Oh yeah, and they are really interestingly diverse as well. So, for example, Ali Davis saying that his moment was the signing of Mullen, which was a serious statement from Rob and Ryan. We also had another one on the same thing about the press release, including the words League Two Player of the Year and top goal scorer. That's when it really felt like it was all stepping up a few levels. John Davis as well said his moment is seeing the Mullen teaser and his jaw dropping when he saw who it actually was. So yeah, there's some nice choices there. We've also had the Max Cleverth goal against Gloucester, the announcement of the new ownership. Rob and Ryan's visit gets a couple of votes, and they'll get 3 votes there at least. The Mullen goal away at Halifax. Rob and Ryan seeing how brilliant this club is. I like that. There's been an awful lot to celebrate, haven't there? But those little moments, that's the hard thing to define, isn't it?
It's been the craziest year being a Wrexham football fan. You could just pick out hundreds. So let's hear yours first, Bill.
I've gone for a slightly left field one. My personal moment of the year was actually not the signing of Paul Mullin, but the signing of Ben Tozer. Because I think when we signed Mullin, there's something about going out and spending a lot of money on a striker. And, you know, you hear some of the figures that have been bandied about and how accurate they are, who actually knows. But teams that have got money are expected to go and sign out one marquee player. When we actually signed Ben Tozer, well, there was that famous tweet, well, I should say infamous, really, tweet from that Cheltenham fan where they'd written, Paul Mullin wasn't the best player of the year last year, it was Ben Tozer, and then we've gone and nicked Ben Tozer on top of signing Paul Mullin, and I thought, wow, this isn't just a flash in the pan, we mean business here. We've gone and got some people's player of the season, the captain of Cheltenham, they've just gone up. There's all, you know, he should be playing in League One this year, really, as their captain. But that for me was okay. Yeah, this isn't just a little bit of fun. This is actual, real, serious business.
I like that, Bill. I hadn't thought about that myself, but yeah, signing Ben Tozer was such a big deal, and he is a player of such high quality, and I think that, you know, especially against Altrincham and all the assists he's brought from centre half, and in his experience, he's got a real aura about him as well. Yeah, I'd really have to agree with you there. That's really good.
Well, mine was when Rob McElhenney named me as the greatest player in Wrexham's history. No, okay. Maybe it's not that. Oh, okay. It was, although he did, I should emphasise, he did. It was a mistake, but he did. Call me a sentimental old fool. Kwame Thomas scoring against Gloucester.
Yeah.
I know the game was won, but it's a moment. And it was just, I mean, the reception he got when he came on was brilliant. Well, when you saw he was starting, should I say, and the support he was getting. But when he scored, everybody in the stadium, I think that meant something to everybody. And that was brilliant. And you know, I've got to say, I mean, Kwame, obviously it's valuable to us in terms of his qualities as a player, that we get him back and he's scoring goals. But he's also a really nice bloke, a genuine fella, nice to talk to, very approachable. It's nice to see nice guys actually have something good happening for them. It was gut-wrenching when he got that injury. By far and away, I think the lowest point in terms of football of the year. And when you remember that first, it wasn't clear whether he'd get a contract or not. And Rob McElhenney stepped in and said, oh, no, he's part of our family. We are giving him a contract. You know, he could easily have ended up unemployed and searching desperately for a club now, having not maybe had the best support to get him fit. But this is a great example here of as a club, as a community, as a team, us all rallying together. The medical people doing a fantastic job, and Kwame, a good bloke, coming back, hitting the ground running and scoring. That for me was a quite emotional moment, to be honest.
Yeah, it was. And I think sometimes, because there was so little fans in the ground, wasn't there? And I think everyone went mental. I've never gone so mental seeing someone score a goal, and it was an FA Trophy game. The game was all but done, and all three of us commentators went mental when he scored, and it was a really, really lovely moment. Some would say it was God's plan. So yeah, we all. I'm a huge fan of Kwame Thomas, and I think most fans are, aren't they, Bill?
Yeah, I think it adds to it as well that we've not actually seen him live. So I didn't go to that game but for those that were there, it was an opportunity to give him a bit of appreciation to actually. I know you guys have been lucky enough to be doing the commentary, but for the as oiks that don't get to go to the games when there's nobody there, it must have been a nice moment for those who did see it, and I did genuinely really regret not being able to go to that game in the end. So fair play, what a player. And to sort of contrast that, if you were to pick the worst moment of the year, him getting injured probably stopped us from reaching the playoffs, and actually it tail ends both sides of his injury, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I certainly believe if Kwame Thomas was fit for the whole of last season, we would have made the playoffs, because he was real quality. Him and Diorangas linked up really well. He was real quality, and it was such a shame that he got injured. My moment of the year was actually, it's a bit of a strange one. It's not really actually football related, really. It was actually walking to the ground on that first home game of the season against Notts County and feeling the buzz in the air, and then seeing the fans outside of the turf singing the songs. I think it symbolized so much things. That football was back with fans, the new exciting owners, and how much the club actually means to the town itself. And when the club's bouncing, the town's bouncing, people are spending money, and it was so nice. It was such a nice, unique feeling being a Wrexham fan, walking to the ground and just seeing that the fans are back and that we're finally home again.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a real, really nice moment.
Hi guys, I'm Dominic Vose, and this is Dragonheart.
Game of the year. What's been the reaction, Mark?
Right, Ali Davis, game of the year. Bournemouth 2, Wrexham 3. No explanation needed. That's his words, not mine. Again, we have got another vote for, that's quite popular. Bournemouth 2, Wrexham 3. John Devitt, Halifax away last season. Apart from the glory of the game, this reason's beautifully personal. It was my birthday, and I watched the stream with a whole roast chicken to myself. Very impressive. Was it a rum chicken, I wonder? And Rob going for Halifax away. I think he means this season. In terms of the poll, well, if we make Halifax suffer, Wrexham fans enjoy it. 75% of the votes went to those two games. The 4-0 one came top, the 2-1 second. Bournemouth game was third. And there was also a vote for the 5-0 win at Aldershot.
Nice. So, Bill, what's yours?
Difficult to say with having not been at all of the games, but if we're talking just very quickly, a streamed game and a live game, Bournemouth for the streamed game, because that was amazing watching those goals go in, and for live game, just the first game of the season, just to be back.
Yours, Mark?
For me, I found this quite difficult. There have been quite a lot of really good wins, haven't there? Especially away performances. I think I'd go Halifax, because it was just, we like 3-0 up after about 20 minutes, and the game's absolutely dead. It was fantastic. I enjoyed the Woking game for similar reasons, the 4-0 there. But I think I'd go for the Halifax one, because, all right, we have battered a few teams over the past year, but that's the one that has Jordan Davis scoring an unbelievable hat-trick in it. So, I think I'd go Halifax away, the 4-0.
I'm going to go as the same as a lot of people said. I know Bournemouth last season. Reece Johnson and Ponticelli getting late goals. Yeah, not much to say about that one. It was just absolutely electric.
I've neglectfully forgotten that Tim Lewis, who was on the show last week, of course, came up with a beautifully succinct response to all four of these questions. Player, game, goal, and moment were all Paul Mullins scoring the injury time winner at Halifax. It felt like a genuine turning point in our season, confirmation of a new hero for us all to worship, and no man has ever looked so good in a bra. you remember this celebration with his GPS vest on? Yeah. Now, unsung hero. Oh my gosh. Well, firstly, there's been a lot of love, and quite rightly, for Dragon Chat. Now, I think partly the mental health group, but I think also they're talking about Steve Lloyd, who will always be the first to point out he is not the only person behind Dragon Chat, but we do know that he does an amazing amount. Russ Giggsy puts it beautifully. He's put so much hard work into the community aspect of the club before and after the takeover, and now he's organising the mental health group. Absolute credit to the club. I strongly have known Steve for years, so true. And just as an indication of that, look at how much love that comment got. Blog Droid saying, I'll second that. Shag Magazine, also 3 clapping emojis. Our girl with, oh, my Welsh pronunciation not as good. Yes, Dragon Chat for me. And then also Max Griffiths, no relation. It's got to be Dragon Chat 3. One of the only football club mental health groups I've seen continued against the odds. So, I mean, I couldn't disagree with that for a second. Deadpool United, I'm not so sure about your call. It's a fine person to give an award to, but it's Jordan Davis. I don't reckon he's unsung. He's just a hero. No. So I agree with you totally. We'll cross out the first word. Chaz says unsung hero. Now, here's one that will divide people. Dean Keats took a group of players, some of whom were on less than minimum wage, with a razor-thin budget almost to the playoff, playing some great football along the way. Doesn't get the respect he deserves for last season. He led us through uncertainty, and now we're benefiting. And Tim Lewis agrees. Dean Keats put up with lots of stick. He very nearly managed to get the team in the playoffs before the investment kicked in. Did a very good job and picked up some very good players on frees. Felt very sorry for him in that last interview he did. A sad way to go. Kelvin and Nye say Rob Lainton, echoing what we were saying before, doesn't get anywhere near the praise he deserves. He'd walk into a League One team. Fearless and Devotion, and I love this. Chay, you loved it too on Twitter.
Yeah.
The existing stewards from last season. Seeing attendances double and dealing with the issues that arise from that is a huge task to take on. Torquay game aside, they seem to have everything running as clockwork. And I would say as well in the Torquay game, they also had to deal with some very difficult situations there. And then other mentions, we had a vote for Ollie Williams. So thanks for voting, Ollie. We had a vote for the loyal supporters. Absolutely, the support's been amazing. Here's one I'll back up. Kingsley Evans, who was a top man, previous king of Dragonheart. And he, oh, well, I mean, fair play. He's a smashing fella. And does so much, the audio programs, stepping in to commentate on the Dover game. Fantastic. Another one said the guys behind Fearless ID and Rob Ryan Red. I don't know what those two things are or what you could possibly mean. Christian Dibble, Tyler French, and another vote for Dean Keats. So fantastically varied, that isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So what's yours, Bill?
I'll have to admit I voted for Christian Dibble. He is really unfortunate that Leighton is so good. I know he's had his stick, and when he first started, maybe it was a bit of a difficult period for him to adjust, but the amount of times he's come into games and been a safe pair of hands, no complaints, happy to be a number 2, but has actually played quite a lot of games. You know what? He could easily go and play for a lower team in this league, but he's willing to stick around and do a job for us. So fair play to Christian Dibble.
100% echo that. Yours, Mark?
I hadn't made my mind up when I started reading all the tweets coming in today, and I haven't got a choice because I can't argue against the logic of the things people were saying. I can't argue against Steve Lloyd, who was fantastic. I can't argue against Kingsley because he's tremendous. And I also, from a football point of view, agree that Keats did a great job and set up a lot of foundations for what we've done. So, I don't think I can add anything to those. They're fantastic.
I'm going to go with all match day staff, from people at the retail team, media team, bar staff, stewards, security, groundsmen, everyone. They do a fantastic job, especially with the increased attendances. And they're a real hard task, a really hard, unforgiving job. So the people who clean the stadium after the match is finished, they do very important jobs. They don't get paid a hell of a lot of money, and I'd like to say, that they're appreciated. So, I'd like to echo all the other ones as well. So that's it for today for Dragonheart, and that's it for the year for Dragonheart. And I hope everyone's enjoyed it. I'd like to say thanks to Mark, and like to say thanks to Bill, who's making his debut today. Yeah, it's been an excellent show. This has been Dragonheart.
Wrexham's Heartbeat. This is Calon FM.